that Ashley was able to do as virtual party, she's really, I mean, she just picked it up and just went for it. And then she added some of her TikTok stuff, which is just hilarious.
Those are hilarious. I saw one. Yeah.
Did you see the one where it's the lipstick?
Oh
Yeah,
no.
the one about lipstick. I think I watched it 30 times in a row on her little phone. I just kept reading it because I couldn't stop laughing. It was that funny.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, so I
And
put
and
that.
how is TikTok working for her?
Um, it's she has I think 17, 16, 1700 followers.
Mhm.
She does Instagram along with it and everything. Morning and
That's Dan
Strawberry hair.
hair.
Strawberry hair.
Yes,
love
pink
it.
hair.
Yeah, so
And
she
Ella.
is that going pretty well, but it's still not bringing dollar signs to our door.
Got it. Got it. Well, as everybody comes on, I'm just gonna kind of go and let everybody do their kind of intro of how are you? How are you? Karen Karsten, let's start with you. I mean, we're all, I feel like we're out of the loop.
Yeah, we kind of are. I mean, I'm in the loop, whatever that is. Um, well, things are going pretty well. I'm not don't have my neck brace anymore, and I got the release to go to a beauty parlor because I couldn't. They didn't want me to go backwards a lot, so you
Oh,
have to
right.
do that. Yeah. So,
But I
so
like the softer color. It's very pretty.
Got
there
it.
is no color. I'm thinking about
There is. There
what
is.
Strawberry. We're in the strawberry here
strawberry.
now. Are you thinking
And
about going gray? No.
no,
No.
I'm not thinking about it, but my hair is.
Oh,
So I've been taking an art class on Thursday nights, which is a lot of fun. And the journal group that I belong to started, they met in June, which was great. So we exchanged journals. It's a journal round robin. So somebody else, I haven't seen my own journal since, I don't know, February. It's because it goes around. And we were supposed to be finished now, but because we couldn't meet for 3 months, I guess we'll be done about Christmas. And Sharon, I'm doing that with Sharon Lee.
it's fun. That's fun.
Yes,
The
and I'm
artist.
also taking a class and if you haven't taken advantage of Governor Walz's great deal with Coursera, you should. I'm taking a course in AWS, which is Amazon storage, and it's pretty interesting.
And can you give us a little more info on that?
Well, it's definitely, Amazon has the most storage in the
Oh
whole
no, the
world.
Coursera. The what?
Coursera.
Yeah, what is
Um,
that about? The governor gave what?
the governor made a deal with Coursera, and so anybody in Minnesota can actually sign up to take the classes. It's on our Facebook page somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and all you have to, if you're impacted by COVID-19, but that doesn't matter. It's available to anybody in Minnesota. You have to sign up by September 30th, and it's free until like, I don't know, January, February of next year. And there's like 250 schools in it, including the U of M, and it's like totally free.
And do you get credit for it, or you're just
Oh,
get the
I don't
information?
know, because I didn't really care. So,
Right, right. Yeah, that's. I think we should follow up with that because
Yeah.
that's a really great tool for everybody.
yep, and they have technical classes in all kinds of things. Some things a lot of people wouldn't be interested in, but because they don't want to do a help desk or something like that. But you can get certified in a lot of things that are out there. It looks like.
Wow.
I really like this tool a lot, and Coursera is actually really easy to use. I mean,
Yeah,
are
it's
you
very
using it on
easy.
just your laptop?
Yeah, well, you can use it on your phone too, but I didn't. But
Right.
they have a combination of video and reading.
Hmm.
So, and the videos are all pretty, at least in the class I am taking. Um, no, Janine. Okay, there. Okay. It's pretty easy because they're short. Yeah, they're short videos. Hi, Janine.
Welcome, welcome.
Hi.
And yeah, so they look pretty easy. But there's a lot of really hard courses out there too. But it's summer. I didn't take a hard one.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
And AWS, I have had a free account for that for a long time. They give you a free, Amazon is pretty good. Like Zoom, you can get a free Zoom, but it has limitations. And the AWS has the most storage in the whole world. And so they're just one giant cloud in several places. And what they like to do is to have businesses actually use them instead of having their own servers, because
Right.
you can expand without having to buy something else. They let you buy pieces of space.
Wow, I like it. I like
Yeah.
it. Hey, I'm going to switch on to Marge. Can you give us your update, Marge? You've got, I mean, a million things going on.
Yeah, I do.
We got some wins here. We got a really big win for you.
Well, what's that? What was that? No, I have a big, we've been trying to get this farm in Wisconsin and it's just not going to work out. And I can't, because I've made more money than I've made in the last 20 years I made this year. But
how about that? I'll do a group clap on that.
I have a 770 credit score. I have lots of money in the bank and I'm worth zero because I didn't make anything in 2018. So
right,
there you go. For a loan, you just can't get a loan to save your soul. I found one place that'll do paycheck loans, like off your bank statements.
Right.
So I'll maybe work with them, but that requires 25% down. So
right.
it's not.
Well, keep selling. You might get that.
But I have and I had this terrible seller. I have 4 closings in July, and this guy, like, I recorded part of the verbal abuse. I mean, just really, it was very abusive. And he's just an asshole. But this is a guy that's probably in his 40s, and he's all of a sudden has a new baby and a new girlfriend and his 3 teenage kids and his ex-wife next door. And so you can see he's taking it all out of me. But anyway, I ended up getting, we should close in July. I've got 2 properties that should close in July. And my kids are working with me, and we just got an office space at the beginning of this month. We got an office space over off of Century. So it's like a real business, my shade business.
Big news. And I was actually also talking about your other business.
My shade business.
Yeah, your shade business.
That's what the office is for. And so it has, if you ever see me post, I have this lake view. It looks like I said, I'm at the lake, but what it is windows over Tanner Lake, that little lake up by 3M. Mm-hmm. It's really a nice little office. It's nice and professional, so that my kids don't have to come get shades out of my bedroom.
Yes,
and so everything's transitioning over there. And Liz has been a huge help. So I have a trade show coming up in September.
Liz, the photographer, or Liz?
My daughter.
Your daughter.
Liz, who does, she's self-employed. So, well, COVID happened. They both lost work. My son's a car salesman, and she's self-employed with house sitting and dog sitting and house cleaning. And so she lost a ton of customers because they're home or they can't travel and such. And it's picking back up. But she's very organized, and I'm not. So.
Well, I love it. I'm congratulations on
Thank you.
The most income.
Yeah.
Getting through all of that stuff of why me, right? I just want you to.
Yeah.
All of the times that you have said all of those things. Well, maybe, the universe isn't aligned for me, or maybe whatever, right? Can we throw that away? I mean, are you moved through it, or no? You're just feeling like.
No, I mean, I still believe it's an energy thing.
Yeah.
It's like having these goals that are more clarified. I think having goals more clarified is part of it, because this farm thing is still kind of woozy, right?
Right.
And it's not a clear goal, so maybe that's the problem. So I can't. But yeah, no, I mean, it's been a really awesome, for me, it's been an awesome year. I seem like an extrovert, but I'm an introvert. I wouldn't need to leave my house ever if I wasn't doing stuff. I mean,
Right.
I'm not dying of, I love this. I love that you're on video and we don't have to go get dressed and see each other.
Me too. Me too. All right, well, Marge, I just want to let the group respond because I know they're very excited about your win. So I'm just going
Thank
to
you.
open it up to anybody. Anybody have anything that they want to tell Marge or?
Congratulations.
Thanks,
The,
Karen.
the stars are all aligned. We're here in mucho retrograde, and you're doing great. So,
Must have put in some
Thank
good
you.
work.
yeah. Oh, you've been working hard forever, Marge.
Forever.
Yeah.
I like it though. I mean, I really like what I do because I keep feeling sorry. I feel sorry all the time for these people that have to work grocery and the nurses, and I'm always like, oh my God, these, no wonder like the people that go pick up groceries, and then I'm like doing work. Well, I work all the time, but I really like, I don't think I'm working, I guess, is my point. Is I'm feeling bad, and I look out at that lake, and it's like I'm a very uncomfortable person sitting on a hot boat in the hot sun. That's not even something I like to do. So I look over at these people sitting out on the lake all day, and I'm like,
Wishing.
that isn't even my thing.
It's not your thing. Well,
Anyway,
well,
thanks.
congratulations.
Thank you.
You guys, I do want to point out that you have a chat box. Whoops, somewhere down at the bottom. It has 3 dots. So you can send in chats and things like that. So you can put in questions and so forth. Congratulations,
Thank you.
Marge. Danny,
Thank
I'm
you
going to
for
go
all
on.
your help.
You are welcome.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Danny, give us your
more.
update. You've got some positive things and pink hair.
Yes, pink hair, which I've wanted forever. So
There you
Yeah.
go.
yay. I am working closely with a few of the distilleries around to create a
Please
eco-friendly.
introduce yourself too.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Danny. I work right now. I work with my company, A Little Dirt Don't Hurt, and I'm working on a project to create eco-friendly floral foam out of distillery mash. So
Okay.
the waste product from distilleries,
Yep.
their leftover grain can be turned into blocks and turned into floral foam.
So great. And floral foam for everybody is right that they're like blocks that you
It's that
push
nasty
into.
green stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, don't like that. Yeah, so it's that
Say it again,
foamy
Janet.
stuff.
it's called Oasis, and you should only use it once because it gets bacteria in it, and then you're throwing away this stuff that's not biodegradable.
Yeah, so I'm working on making a biodegradable version.
So it would have 2 eco-friendly portions to it, right?
Yep. Also, my little sister and I have decided to start a food truck.
Oh,
Wow.
Good timing.
Yeah, it's too cheesy. It's all about cheese.
good. How about cheese? That's perfect.
And we're gonna have like whiteboard markers and write cheesy jokes on the side of the truck all the time.
I love it. I love it. And I'm going to let the group respond because there's a lot. I can see Janine having lots of questions already.
I'm just tired for you. I got out of bed today. You did way more than I did.
Oh, good. All right. Well,
I have somebody to put you in touch with because I was in clean tech with a different product I designed, and I don't know if you're familiar, if you're in any of those startup spaces. Have you been to any of the startup school or anything? I'll find it and send it to you because she's trying to use waste product, and it is a grain waste product, and I don't know what she's doing with it, but it was more like, you two might be a great fit because it was more like she was trying to figure out, she had the process for how to turn it into something else, but it's like, what else can it be? So
Yeah.
she might be a good fit because
Yes.
I haven't seen her for 2 years. So I got to think of her name and I'll find it and send it.
Well, if it comes to you, you can always put it in the chat box or
I
send
will.
it to
That's what
Karen.
I thought I'd do. Yeah.
Good, good. Okay, Donna, give us your update.
Good morning, everyone. So nice
Good
to see
morning.
everyone. Yeah, this 9 o'clock at home thing is obviously I can't even pull it together at home. So I'm like, but here I am. So it's so good to see you all. And I have a business called Nido Tree, and my venture is soccer birds. And poor little soccer birds, they're just languishing. They're grounded right now. they're nesting or something. But the good news is that I've gone to, I get A+ for self-care, and I've had a rash on my hands for months. And I've gone to the acupuncture, and there's no rash on my hands now.
Wow.
I mean, they were rash that wouldn't heal, and I was like, oh my God, dude, is this skin cancer? And no, it's just like heat in my system, and really concerned about my sleep, and so I'm getting better sleep, and yay!
Oh, that's wonderful.
He wants to make a morning person out of me, so he's like, midnight to 8, that's as late as you should be sleeping, and so I'm gonna try, and
I love
that
it.
would be quite interesting. So anyway, I am going back to therapy to a couple of the buddy calls that Mickey and I have had back in January and March were just therapy. And thank you, Mickey, thank you for being there for me and helping me through this. I'm obviously processing a lot, and so I was like, why don't I call my therapist for therapy and leave business consultation for Mickey, so we could move forward on that sort of thing. So just trying to understand why I feel such a barrier. And she said, work your values, Donna.
Right.
You value compassion, like be compassionate with yourself. And so I'm just trying to be compassionate with myself, and at least I'm a little happier, if nothing else.
Right. Well, welcome. Does anybody have any response for Donna? I feel like I should open it up.
Getting happier is a really good thing, and getting up, having that schedule for sleep, I think is great. I've been sleeping a little differently lately because I wake up in the middle of the night and then I end up sleeping more in the day. But if you can be on track and get up every day at the same time at 8 o'clock, I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go to Jimmy. Is it Jimmy? How do I say it? Jamian? Oh, there you are.
I had to unmute my
It's okay.
phone.
And welcome to the group. This is our first day, so.
Sorry, I was a little late. I apologize.
Oh, no, you weren't. You
weren't actually.
No.
So
You were one of the early ones.
we goofed around.
Okay. Oh, okay. It was after 9, but I'm moving to North Carolina, so I'm finishing out moving my house out.
Oh, we
Good.
can
So
still
give us
see you
your
when you
update.
move.
Introduce yourself. What is your business? We're dying to know more.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm Jamian, and I have a couple of businesses. My main business is I'm a landlord, so I own some rental properties and motels. And so that's my base business. That's my bread and butter. It's the business I don't like, though.
Right.
And then aside from that, I kind of work a little bit in the restaurant, nightclub business, event planning. I own a small event center in South Minneapolis. I do a lot of nonprofit fundraising and a lot of weddings, a lot of destination weddings, and I'm a travelaholic and a really good chef. So I have a couple of clients I cook for, so I'm kind of all over the board here.
Wow.
And what would, because now this whole group is going to go, oh, tell me more. What would make, what are you hoping to get out of our group? Or just hanging? I mean, I know you just took it as a whim.
I took it as a whim. I'm usually a good like person of intuition. And one of the good things that through the COVID has happened is I've been like kind of honed in on what I really want to do and where I really want to go with things. So I'm just trying to align myself with people who are focused and honestly, Mickey, you seem that way. So I was like, well, shoot, she seems like somebody I should know. And I was like, and then
Right, because we're in Goblet Summer together.
Yeah.
Right. And then I started following, and then I was like, oh, then I started reading, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna sign up for this class and hear more about what she says. She sounds like somebody I should listen to.
Well, I'll take
Oh
that.
yes. Oh yes.
You
Oh
do have
yes.
very popular posts, by the way.
Yes.
I've made, I've in the business that I love, I've made a lot of money for my investor, and I now am jumping out on the limb by myself, which is a really scary thing for me to do. And so, like, I just was like, well, listen, this is how I did it for him, so I should do this for myself. So just like I aligned myself with the right people for him and things and people and places and learning and that type of stuff, I was like, well, it's time for me to do that for me.
For you. I love it. I love it. I'm going to give the group a chance to just respond. Anything you want to ask quickly?
Well, the Goblet Summer really makes me hungry when I look at your posts.
I haven't even begun to post food yet, though.
You have food kind of there, yeah. But it's good to meet you.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
probably just be one kind of joyous person from your posts. So hello.
Very nice to meet you. I love that you have a lot of options, you know, if we're, you know, in this whole time of COVID and needing to be flexible and fluid. It's like, well, you have some directions you can go. Like if this is, you know, if event planning's not working, okay, well, let's go over here. So you got a lot of stuff that you can work on.
Yeah.
You know, like you've got your options, it sounds like.
Yeah, I still had a lot of families that I cooked for. And so like that business like increased because people were at home and they didn't eat, and I could, you know, do that. So all I know is that at about 19 years old, well, I was probably like 17 years old when I first knew it, but 19 years old when I stopped working for someone, I was like, I will never work for anybody again in my life. I wouldn't care if I mowed lawns every day.
Yeah.
Right. Spoken like a true Marge Weir.
Yeah, we have to connect more.
They told me I had to button my shirt up at the job, like all the way. And I think I have a great chest. And I felt offended, and I was like, I'll never work for anybody again.
Well, there you go. There you go.
You.
All right.
Motivated.
Any other questions for
That's wonderful.
Jamie?
What makes you the happiest in your businesses?
What makes me the happiest?
Yeah. Which one do you love the most?
I love the like doing people's weddings is the most, and the nonprofit fundraising. I love at the end of the night to know how much money I raised for the cause that I believe in. And then from that end, and then I love like when people walk in and they're just like, oh, this place is beautiful. You know, it's exactly what I wanted to do. And yeah, I think that's my love. Those two things probably.
The travelaholic is pretty fun.
It's being in,
Yeah.
John, did you have something to share?
how are you going to be keeping that going with moving so far away?
Well, the rentals, they kind of run themselves. I have a staff. They do their thing here.
The event place.
And what?
For the
You gotta
event,
speak. We have a hard time hearing you, John.
No, yeah, it's really hard to hear you.
for the event center. I'm not even sure where my speaker.
Yeah, I have a girlfriend who's going to be like, we're partnering. They're going to take over here. And then I partnered with an event center in North Carolina, which I've already started that work too. So I'll be starting on that.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, welcome. We are glad to have you. Sandy Cleland, you've got big news too.
I do.
Well, you could start with the pool. Or you can start with a great year ever. You're having a great year.
Yeah. So you're okay. That's it. That's all I had to say. I'm Sandy Cleland. I am a residential real estate agent with Remax Results, and I live in South Minneapolis. And yes, I got a pool a couple weeks ago. It's the best thing I ever did. So, you know, with all the pools in town being closed, and even my friend who has a condo in Burnsville, they wouldn't open their pool this year because they didn't trust their residents to act responsibly. So I was just like, I need a pool. I need a pool. So my husband bought one and I bought one. So now we have two. So we bought them at the same time.
Side by side pools.
Yeah, so we got two pools going. So anyway, it's awesome. So it's like, I always imagined like, oh, when I get home from work in the summer, wouldn't it be great to just go in the backyard and just get in the pool, you know, and now I can. So anyway, I've been posting it on Facebook and people are like, God, I didn't know you're so into pools.
Why not? Yeah.
But anyways, I highly recommend it. So I got a 10-foot diameter pool. It's 30 inches deep.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
So I just get in it and float around. It's awesome. So, and then as far as business, yeah, I'm having a really good year. All of my clients that had plans to do something this year, they went ahead. COVID did not stop them. And nobody lost their job. And so things are going swimmingly.
Great fun. That was the best.
And I don't really have anything new or exciting other than the pool, but yeah, work is, I mean, it's a nice pace. I'm not so stressed out about it. Like last year was such a stressful, very difficult year with some very difficult clients and the difficult ones are the ones who didn't do anything. And then this year's a lot easier, you know, just nicer people, normal, just, you know, people, I mean, not without stress, you know, there's always, you know, things you have to, as Marge knows, you know, there's a lot of things to work through, but, you know, it makes a big difference on the particular client. So yeah, I'm having fun. No complaint.
Well, welcome back.
Yeah.
Janet Mills, boy, where have you been? We missed you.
I was here last month.
Yeah.
Real? Oh, good. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And then the month before it was Blur's Day and I came on the wrong week.
Oh, that's so funny.
May 1st or whatever. I'm a graphic designer and I've realized this is good to check in to get real because I realize I haven't been logging as many hours, just coping with everything. But I'm busy now. And today I get to sort garden photos, so that's fun. So it won't feel like working. I guess I've just been really busy and involved with everything, but this makes me more get real.
Good. Do you have a question for the group or?
I want to just listen.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, welcome back. Glad to see you. Janine has walked off screen, so she's back. I think she's parenting.
Coffee cup filling.
Oh, good.
I got tea.
Oh, wait. Could you fill mine too?
Oh, Janet, your cup is pretty. I like the pottery. Oh, look at that cute bear. Cat.
Oh my gosh. Holy mud. Great.
Awesome.
This is what I got. Yeah.
Oh.
Matchbox. Thank you for that.
I'm Janine. I have Janine Marie Photography. I do wedding and event photography and block portrait studios, and then that's where I'm at here. It is in St. Paul, and I live in the apartment in the back. So I hadn't been working through COVID very much, and most of my events for the year have postponed from like an average of 50 weddings a year. I'm hoping to even get 9 in, but I don't think that's even going to happen. But the portrait business is going well. I sold gift certificates for portraits, and now I'm just fulfilling those right now.
Right. And anything that you want to report in? I mean, last time it was really stressful for you, and you just look like you kind of caught your breath.
It's still stressful.
It's still stressful. Okay. Okay. So just that you look great.
I'm just doing the things to make me feel good, like put clothes on and
Put clothes on. Right. I love it. I love it. Hey, John, we started with you, but do you have a little check-in for everybody else?
Yeah, I'm not sure where the voice box is on this machine, so I'll just talk louder.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm doing good. Certainly got well from COVID, so I'm well past that.
Yes. Thank you for healing from COVID. I do appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. Me too.
You're
And
no fun dead.
I am funded, though. You don't know that. But yes, I've got lots of plans for hunting and many other things too. So hauntings and blessings will happen after I die. For others, and for me, I'll be blessed. But anyway, Ashley and I have taken on a walking program. We are out every day almost, usually 4 miles, sometimes a little more, sometimes very little less, because we always take the same path and challenges and stuff. So that's been feeling good, and just taking care of myself, taking care of some things around the house, things like that. And then I'm intending to take on a job next month, which will be nurse consultant. And that is my expectation for my next long-term job. I don't want to go back into being director of nursing now that I see that I prefer more structure around me, because the two people who were, on my team, basically one at a time, they both were like the exact same person, and they were both nuts. I can't work with crazy. I just need
So
sanity.
coming in as more of his executive role is right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with professionals. That's the big difference. These people that I interviewed with, they were all professionals, and it felt so good to just sit in the room with them. So yeah, next month.
Congrats on that leap. I mean, I'm very proud of you for that.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, so if you have a business card and you have a snapshot of it, you can put it into the chat box so that people can see that, or you can just type in your information, right? So that others can, know you or be able to contact you. Because normally we would have handed around business cards, but however you choose to do that. But in the chat box, it also says that you can upload a file, so you can upload a picture or something like that. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to get into class. This is a topic that everybody here is going to enjoy. I did send you a handout in advance. So I'm going to share my screen. Here we are. Hit share. Okay. Now you guys should be able to see my screen. Is that accurate?
It'll start.
There we go. Okay. All right. Are you seeing my screen?
We're seeing Zoom. There. Okay.
Okay. So you guys would have gotten a handout that looks like this.
It was attached to the email with the connection information.
Right. So one of the things that I want to kind of go through today, what I like about these Zoom classes is actually we can be a lot more focused on a topic. And I feel like I get you a little bit longer. So I feel, I'm excited. And I'm always glad to see you. So one of the things that I really appreciate about this business task piece is that it kind of gives you an idea. I'm a color code fan, and I'll come back to this page again. But the first thing I'm going to do is kind of get us back into kind of where we have to be. We're together. So glad to see you. This is one of the things that I love about this class, is that it gives you a chance to look at the daily. And for all of you, this is just a description of what we did in, what is what's the description of the class. But what I found is that a lot of people don't actually know how to organize their schedule for wealth, right? And I work with a lot of executives, a lot of executive teams, and a lot of, you know, everything, right? Nonprofit, solopreneur, micropreneur, and, you know, giant companies. And when we're talking about prosperity, right, the definition of prosperity is the ability to magnify. All of the things that we have been teaching you are around prosperity. So one of the things that is so helpful about this group is that all of you have tools. So at the end of the session, this is the sign I'm going to put up again. So if you have tools like Karen had Coursera, if you have tools that you can share with the group, boy, we sure need them. And if you want to find ways to connect with each other and, you know, just get to know each other, that's great too. But again, I'm going to be looking for tools on what's there. The first thing that I'm going to kind of push out to the group is, again, right, how do you start your day? Much like a sleeping pattern for Donna, or, you know, a walking program for Dawn, right? We have to figure out how we start our day, and a work day should start as a work day. And that's really difficult during these times because it's easy to just sort of get your coffee and hang around and whatever, right? But it is time to decide, hey, it's time to do my life. And this is what I need to do in my life. And this is what I need to do for the health of my business and the health of the goals that I have. Donna, when you and I spoke last time, right, one of the things that I kept saying to you is go back to your values. Go back to your values. Lots of you in this group have done the values class. So you really do want to keep that out and present. So if you've kind of put it by the wayside, I'm going to encourage you to do that. This page right here is really the challenge I'm going to give to everybody is understanding bossing it, right? That you are all your own boss. And one of the things is that there's 10 types of capital, but you are the largest piece of capital that you have. And I put that in there to really go, look, this is human resource management. You are the human, right? What are you going to do about you? And that means managing things like, right? How do you pay yourself? That may be, right? How do we grow you? How do we actually have a succession, right? What are the training and development pieces that you need? So I would look at yourself as talent management, of managing the talent that you have, because as a self-employed person, that is what you lose, is the ability for someone to manage your talent. That's also why people hire coaches or work with other people, or also, you know, what talent management does is it actually measures your performance. And sometimes we measure our performance based on things that we don't actually calculate. So we'll manage our performance of, do I feel good? Am I tired? Am I happy? Right? That's not how you would performance review a business. So part of it is actually really looking at what are the things that you're proud of? What are the things that you're doing? And that is why being more careful about what you write down or what you're tracking for yourself, or why people track things, is also to track your performance. And in performance, we can kind of go through a couple of those things. I'm only going to ask for a couple of things for you to start tracking in your performance, because they'll just be the most profitable for you. So when we go forward, right, you've heard me say this before, hope is not a strategy. But if you are looking to manifest wealth, you absolutely, right, on the left side of this picture is, you know, money and a doctor's thing, right? We've got some diagnosis to do. And on the other side of this is stacks of paper. I'm pretty sure that everybody has a stack of paper that you're not so enjoying, right? So it is not a strategy. You're going to have to really build a strategy. And we all know I'm a numbers geek, right? I'm probably the most lovable, huggable numbers geek you may know. But bookkeeping is the life force of all business. And if you do not know your bookkeeping, you do want to get to know it as if you would know oxygen, because it is the oxygen of that business. Is how is money moving through? It's the reporting agent. It's going to give you an enormous amount of details. And it's also going to tell you your performance. It's going to tell you what you have to invest in new ideas. It's going to give you what you can give away. It's going to give you information. So that bookkeeping is a critical tool. For those of you who have the sheet in front of you, I color code, and I color code for a reason on that, is because then you can just look at the whole thing, and you can look at the whole thing and then be able to see what kind of day it is, right? So just as if you were out looking at, is it a sunny day out? Do I need an umbrella, right? Color coding tasks also helps you know what is the focus of that day. What are the types of things that you have to get done? And so in this, right, we have this kind of a pretty color coded one, but I'll put up the other one, which is this big one. When we look at this task list here, right, too big, baby, which you have in front of you. So I color coded it based on kind of the things that have to be put into a structure. So, right, you're going to have to put in banking, bookkeeping, and tasks. And when you look at that things on the green list, it is that you need to check your bank balances on your business weekly, or your personal balances, right? How's your money doing? That should be a weekly check-in for you. You should be running your QuickBooks. So if you have multiple businesses, this is even more critical, because you're going to need to just know how much money is coming in, how many invoices aren't paid. It's going to give you that kind of movement. An average business, which you've heard me say before, per 10,000 of income is 4 hours of administration, is kind of where does it collide, right? How much help do you need? How much should you be putting into your QuickBooks, or your managing receipts, or sorting the information? And some of you may have really only about an hour and a half of QuickBooks, is running the bank piece in there, knowing your receipts, filing them, scanning them in, so forth. But what you really are looking to do is to just once a month kind of, pull them together. Because if any of you are the ones that absolutely, wait till the end of the year, you end up with this clog that isn't helpful. It makes you not like your money, and you end up to energetically start to repel wealth. So I do want you to energetically lean into your money, lean into your bookkeeping, lean into the fact that you're going to get information, and that it's a delicious kind of thing to be with, because it's going to give you tools to move forward. Now, how many of you are about ready to throw up at the thought of spending more time with your bookkeeping, right? A couple, right? But bookkeeping is why we have a bookkeeper, right? We love having a bookkeeper, but reconciliation is also going to be a tool for you. But the bookkeeping is a blueprint, right? It's kind of like knowing if your dress is going to fit, right? That Is it going to be too small? Is it too big? Do I have the ability to grow at the pace that I want? So if you are going to invest in some things, you're going to need to make sure that you can invest in those things. So pink tasks are media related. Pink tasks, for many of you, are where it gets a little sticky. But again, some of you don't need to manage social media, but it's just another way to go, okay, how often should I be doing that? That social media in general should have some sort of interface with it, a minimum of 6 times in a month, right? So when you look at the green tasks, right, there's 4, 8, 9, right? So a third of the time, there should be some sort of bookkeeping available to do as a daily task list. When we get to the blue tasks, right, those are business building. Blue tasks are there to go, okay, what do I need to do to build my business? And that may be reaching out to people in the industry. For many of you, that may be co-creation. A lot of you are having one-to-one clients, so that may really be looking like reaching out to your existing clients. But it may also be just learning about other people in your industry, or people that are in industries that are to the side of you. So when you're looking at those, I think I would really start to put a list around them, and we'll go over lists in a minute. Orange tasks are maintenance. When I look at orange tasks, it's really, those are really about 2 hours a month is where maintenance tasks are. So that would be really reviewing your internal processes, right? How do you get paperwork from one place to another? How do you close that sale? What is your process? What is your process of taking an order? What is your process of delivering a service? How is the website working, right? And then on the left side over here, when you have these annual tasks, right? Those annual tasks are kind of their own calendar item that are probably going to take several hours. So you would have taken an annual task and given it a time once a year. And we'll work on how you would do that. When we go to black tasks, those are really overflow and oversight. So when we look at what's piling up, that's overflow, right? For those of you who have assistants or other people that you're working with or employees, understanding workflow or overflow is going to be really critical to be able to go, look, I'm feeling like I'm stacking up. I need somebody to offload this. So you should be looking at that either Sunday night or Monday morning. And that's really that place to start your day, to go, okay, let me just see what's all here. And then you can assign it wherever it needs to go. How many of you actually like having a task list? Right? I'm a task list fan. And when you look at task lists, the thing that I remind people about is they suck. Whoops, sorry, I'm learning. Let me get you to where we are together, bossing it. This will be a quick review for you, right? Color coding, there's our tasks lists. Wow, okay, wow, okay. So task lists are really where people fail because most people are trained to have a checklist and they task them off. Very few people have been trained on how to actually write planning notes. And planning notes are very directive. They are longer. A lot of times you'll see them in a notebook that I'll share what mine look like when we come back to not on this screen. But when you start looking at planning notes, if you take away only one thing from our time today, it would be planning notes. Planning notes are about a paragraph long. So it's not just a task, it's to say, hey, here's the who, what, why, where, when, and why, right? How is that going to get done? So let's look at a task like, you know, redoing the website. There's a lot that goes with that conversation. So you have to actually build planning notes around it. Janine, you've done a lot of this actually with your photography process, right? It's not just an intake, it has a lot of parts to it. And when Dawn, when you're in your next phase of leading people, you're going to need planning notes. You're not going to need task lists. So this is a very much an executive concept. This is one of the things that I use a lot with executives who are trying to drive forward a vision of what that vision looks like. How are they going to articulate it? What are they missing? What information has to be in there so that other partners can get in there and really get to work with you. And a lot of times it's so much easier to see a bigger picture or the whole vision of why are we doing this than just saying, here, do this. And a lot of times we're handing out task lists to each other, right? So I'll give it to you as an example from my husband and I have a conversation around yard work. And that conversation around yard work is he's not doing any. And my conversation around yard work is I love to do that. I don't actually have enough time to do it, but it makes me feel better, right? That I love having a beautiful garden. So when I know the why of it, and when he kind of understood the why of it and I took it out of task, he was like, oh, okay, that's something that makes you happy. Versus here's a task that needs to be done and you want to avoid it, right? Well, why do you want it? Well, because it's so beautiful to have a beautiful flowering area that I can look at every day. It makes me happy. I look at it out my window every day. Can you help me? So when people can attach to the why, they're more likely to be able to understand that it's not just a task, that it's something that has to be moved forward. Now, one of the things that I remind people about is this is a question, the next page, which I've already kind of clued in for you. But again, I do want you to start just opening your mind and opening your mind to really the question that's going to be on the next page. And the question that I'm going to put on the next page, I want you to really have going through your head 1,000 times a day. And it needs to go in your head 1,000 times a day, because that's where you're going to start hacking and unlocking opportunity. And if you can just take this one piece away and start putting it into your mind all over again and be willing to answer that question, you will see instantly, like by the end of the day, there will be an enormous amount of hidden opportunities that will unveil themselves to you. And that question is why? Why does your day have to look like this? Right? Why are you doing it that way? Why is this important? Why do I think this is what I have to do to move my business forward? Why do I think I have to do all this other garbage? Right? And why? Why is it not okay that I want to sit down? Right? Why does this have to be done today? Why is this important to my future? Why do I avoid my paperwork? Why do I think I hate accounting when it can be so helpful? Right? Why is this no fun? Why do I think I have to be so grown up and perfect all the time? Why? And do you see how it just starts to kind of unfold? So I'm going to just take a break right at that second, right? And go, what's the why? So when you look at the why, what came into all of your heads?
I thought you were being rhetorical, but I have business paperwork. Anything that's financial goes in a pile. And the pile isn't that I don't like it. Well, I don't like it. But the problem is that I don't have the answers and I don't have a resource to plug into. I can't just walk to a department in the corporate office and ask somebody, and it just stays in the question mark pile.
Right.
I think I always avoided paperwork because I didn't have the money to pay the bills, you know, for a long time. And then, so I keep telling you, Etsy's like my jam because it's all charts and graphs, and I get deposits every week, and then I can see where my financial and how much they take. And then I finally downloaded the QuickBooks. I signed up for it last year and I never downloaded it or whatever. I mean, I didn't pay for it, but we had that ability. It's hooked to Etsy and everything just flowed in there. And I have not played with it because I've been busy and because, yes, I avoid this stuff, but having all those charts and graphs and everything makes it so much more exciting than.
It makes it exciting, right?
Yeah.
Because
And
now you have
visual, so it's not so.
You have data.
And I also have a credit union app that I didn't have that you can look and move money, and like it's much more easy to see all your stuff instead of logging in on the computer, that kind of thing. So it seems it's just put me way more in touch, because if I found out one thing, if there's my one little advice thing is I have signed up for so many tiny auto pays that I don't even know about because they're on PayPal, and you know, $5.99 a month, $4.99 a month, and it really adds up. So look through those every once in a while, people, and see what you can dump.
Right.
I mean,
what else are your whys?
Lost money. So
what are the whys because when I said that and I gave you some choices, every single one of you had something come up in your head. What's the whys you should be asking? Why does it have to look like this? Why am I working it this way? Why is this not giving me a paycheck, right? Why am I avoiding this? Why? Right? Why am I not partnering with that person? Why am I partnering with that person? Right? Why? Right? Why do I do this? Why do I make a whole plan and then avoid it? And that question of why should be on your mind every single day. So that is the big piece that I want to kind of give forward. Does anybody else have a why they want to share? Okay, then I'm going to jump back in and screen share this. Let me go back. So I'm going to share my screen again. It'll take a second. They love to give us a moment, right? So you should be able to see me now, right? Is that a yes? Somebody wait, yes? Okay. So time is your asset. And when you start to look at that, that is the one thing that you actually have the most control over. You do not have any control about what happens inside that time, right? So you have the time to go, I'm gonna go for a walk, great. But you don't actually have any control over what's gonna happen within that walk. And your time is your largest asset. And much like the question of why, it is to really start asking yourself those hacking questions. Is there a way that this can be more efficient? Is there a way I can do this that I can find more joy? Is there a way I can do this that actually makes more money? Is there a way that this can be profitable in a different way that I don't see now? Right? And I'll use that example from Donna's soccer birds, right? That Donna's soccer birds went, wait, how else can I use these images in ways that they can be profitable, right? And then you came up with a whole nother line of items, right? So, right, that you had, you know, you can have birthday parties, you can have all sorts of things that are themed around, and that you don't have to have them all in stock. They can be shipped as they come up, right? So how can I also look like I have more stock without having to make that financial investment?
Right, the inventory.
Inventory, right?
And then having to manage the inventory.
Or managing the inventory, right? So it's asking those hack questions. And that's where why starts to open your mind to it. of, you know, why do I think it's important to, you know, check my email 20 times a day? You know, can I just maybe have 3 email times in a day? For those of you who are phone pickers, right, where you like keep scrolling your phone all the time, that habit as an executive, you must stop. So if you are someone that looks at your phone 20 times a day, if you want to become, if you want to get to where you want to go, you're going to have to limit that distraction and treat it as a tool, because it's technology, right? And our relationship to technology is around time. It's a time hack. If we go back to Marjorie's conversation around QuickBooks, right? QuickBooks does it all. That we used to have somebody sit in front of a screen and have to type in all of those receipts. That doesn't happen anymore. QuickBooks does it in 1 minute or less. It's going to take everything that went through on your debit card, everything that goes through your bank balance. It's going to pull it all in. It's going to take a guess because it's had hundreds of thousands of other people load into QuickBooks. It knows when CenterPoint Energy comes through that that's a utility bill. Now you just have to tell it what that utility bill means to your business. When it sees that you've taken cash out of it, it's going to know that it's only one of 3 options, right? So you just have to tell it what that means to your business. It's so much easier to respond to a platform, right? So what used to be sometimes 2 hours a month, technology has now pulled down to 2 minutes. That is the purpose of technology, is to be able to give you that. Going back to our grid, right? Learning is a free time adventure. Unless you somehow have a different life than most people, learning is a free time activity. So if you're taking a day out of your work to get, you know, advanced credits or go to school or do something like that, most small businesses cannot afford its CEO to be gone. So you're going to also have to kind of start to look at what is the free time you're going to give that, especially if you're in an aggressive growth period. And again, we learn the value of your time. So all you have to do is, what is your executive hour worth, right? And we went over this last time that we got a little pushback on, right? But you just take whatever it is that was your gross last year, you divide it by 2080, because that's a full-time amount of hours. And then that's what your value of your hour is. And that hour on your free time may be worth it. That hour in your business may not be worth something that isn't going to pay off. Because a lot of people like to kind of push back at me that education makes you money. While that is true, it doesn't need to detract from the business time of doing business, that it really is effort and profitable sales. And that's one of the things that accounting will do for you, is it'll tell you what is a profitable sale. I'll use Janine's model as an example, right? That you went through and changed, right, your whole product line, right? Janine, can you explain the big change of the pictures, the giant pictures for everybody? Hope you got to unmute you.
Good idea. Details. Yeah, so I went from delivering digitals to delivering product and giving a full service experience to families in the portrait business. And with that, I had to change all of the steps, because nobody knows exactly what they want with a family portrait and what they want to do with it. They just know that they want family portraits. So I have implemented a process all the way through from like the first conversation to ignite like what you would do with a family portrait outside of putting it on Facebook. And then the final product to the actual delivery and installation. Is that what you were asking, Mickey?
Exactly. Exactly. So again, I'll use yours, and this is where you can kind of chime in to tell me where I'm wrong or or that I told myself a better story than it is, right? But you had a process, right? I take a picture, I sell you that image, right? That is not what you're selling as a wedding photographer, right? You're selling really something different. And can you explain how you changed that definition for your clients?
I definitely made it more outer focused about their emotional connection and what that means to them, and adding that meaning behind walking by that portrait every day. So opposed to just everybody smiling at the camera, this is the love of your life. This is an amazing day with the most amazing people you know, and just generating the value behind the emotion in it, and less about the actual act of taking the photo and having that photo.
Right. And it's now taken it out of a commodity, right? Where you can just go, look, let's get a pretty picture. Very different than saying, let me tell you why this photo is meaningful. And you also figure out what the size is, where it's located in their house. You actually take a picture of their home and help them work through how they want to emotionally be with that image on a daily basis.
Yeah. Like I'm their guide for something that they didn't know they want. I'm just asking the questions to get them to the point that they see the value in what I offer for them.
And the offer is that there's a high quality, and you did an enormous amount of research on the actual product, right? And you put them, and they're an investment, right? You put them in your studio so they could see them. Oh, I guess we're gonna go with right now.
Am I highlighted? Can you?
Yes, you're doing great.
So that's one.
Wow.
This is another one.
Wonderful.
So they really are a treasured item.
So if
and
you're sharing something, I'm not seeing anything.
Oh.
I'm only seeing the Mickey's screen. Education does not make you more money.
Okay, let me hold on. Let me go to stop share. Hold on. Okay, here, Jeannie,
I see
can you
everybody.
see each other now?
Oh wow, yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah.
This is my window display right now.
Wow.
Which is different. You had a different one for Father's Day.
Yeah, I had a big display of my husband and my son up there. Like it was 80 inches wide with all four pieces together.
Wow.
That's installed in my design room right now.
Right. So
that is amazing.
Something that isn't just, hey, let's take a picture of you and have you enjoy it. It is, let's put this important message of love, of hope, of joy, and let's figure out where it can go in your home.
Well, that's it's an interior design aspect.
Absolutely.
That is so freaking important. I mean, just to tell you, I grew up, my dad was preacher, and we grew up in the parsonage, and you do not put nails in the wall of a parsonage. It's not.
Right. Right.
And so pounding a nail in the wall is just doesn't, like, I don't know if I should, and there's just way too much thought around it. Oh my gosh, to have somebody come out and say, let's put it there, let's do this and put it there, that is an amazing discovery, I believe.
Right, right. So again, right, when you start to look at, do you have a commodity? Do you actually have a product, right? And changing that into an experience is one thing, but changing it into an experience and a product and something that they're going to be with for the rest of the time that they own it is very different than just saying, I'm going to photograph your wedding, right? But again, right? You had to go to another program, you had to go have training, that there was a huge investment. And all of those things you had to do on top of running your business, right? So your business isn't going to slow down just because you want to re-educate yourself to do a new program.
Well, it did, kind of.
Well, because you have a downtime, you have a down season.
Slow down, but yeah.
Well, yes, right now. So I'm going to put my share screen up. Thank you for sharing that with the group. I really appreciate it. Because that kind of gives you an example, right?
It's an amazing example.
Yeah.
Really amazing.
It's so amazing. It's like your garden lawn task for your husband, where it's not just you need to go plant some flowers. It will make me emotionally connect to my life with flowers outside my window.
Right.
I feel like I mean, that seems like perfect for this time while everybody's home, is that you don't need a whole, I mean, I don't know, maybe you have to take them in the studio, but if you're taking them at people's homes, if you could get out there on Facebook and Pinterest and such that remember this time together in a good, way, because people are playing with makeup, they are doing family activities, they're stuck in the house together, and they're enjoying their families more. That, this might be a really good time to capitalize on that. And I mean, that's why I've got great sales right now, is because people are home shopping. But instead of shopping online and having something shipped from Amazon from far away, here you are, and can get this done, and they can have this beautiful wall. I think that's cool.
Right.
I love your big wall idea.
And going back to Danny's business model, right, of taking something that was waste and now repositioning it into something that is interesting and cool, right? It takes something that is so boring and is a kind of a basic commodity and now makes it into something that can insert into somebody's values about waste. It can, have some statistics around it. And now we can really have a larger bounty of conversation around it. So I'm going to put my share screen back up again. And right, so here we are. Let's see if it'll let me, right? You're going to want to choose new, right? And so one of the things that I want you guys to really look at is when you're looking at what are you going to take away from today? And what I'd like you to take away is the choice to choose new, right? Choose a new way, choose a new thought process, choose a new question. What can that look like? And using time as an asset, right? Right? That big question, why, right? What's the why? Why are you doing it that way? And then lean into the new. So I'm gonna kind of bring us back to where we were. So big plans need big space. Some of you have gone through this exercise with me, but again, if you can read into there, it is really looking at all of the different compartments of your business and really taking the time to work through what's the work that has to be done? What are the goals that you have for those things? It doesn't mean you have to do them right now. You will have to put them into your work plan. And you will have to assign them and you will have to manage them because you're the boss, right? And you're the boss and want it to move in a certain way. So you're going to want to take time. And what I like about doing big plans is that they just make things go a lot easier because they just do it. This piece right here, again, it's the basis of NW2. It is really, right, who you know and how you know is going to decide how much wealth you have access to. Intellectual capital is worth 10,000 times more than financial capital. So I do want you to understand how important it is for you to do those business outreach pieces, because something as simple as someone forcing you to get QuickBooks just gave you 2 hours of tasks that you dreaded and pulled them into 2 minutes of time, right? That's a huge amount. Technology is a great intellectual partner. But many of you have friends who know how to do things, and they would be happy to support you and give you knowledge if you just gave them an opportunity. And that's super helpful if you have things that have production value to them, that have manufacturing to them, that have processes. Someone who's learned a process in one area will be able to tell you the process in another. So I'll give you an example from, again, I'll use both Donna and Janine as an example. And Dawn, this would also apply for you because, right, how do you do it, right? A nurse, somebody who manages nurses, they have to have a system. They have to have a system to be able to deal with all of those patients. And Donna, you had to build a process for how do you bring an idea from a sketch into a product, right? Janine, you've got a process for somebody to move through. So you really do want to look in at who you know and how they can help you. Not just, are they my friend? It is, how can that person perhaps be this 10,000 times? I am willing to bet, just by knowing everyone here, that every single one of you has one person in your life that has an idea that's worth 10 grand to you.
We all know you.
Well, you know me, yes. Right, right. Oh gosh, I would love it if I'm worth 10 grand to you. Okay, so technology, right? The definition of technology, right? One of the reasons I like this is that technology is there for a practical use. And we also, as business owners, Marge would be a great example of that, right? Is that she's on Pinterest. For those of you who use your scroll function as your technology relationship for the day, you know it's addicting, right? And so you will either make money on people scrolling, or you'll let that time dissolve. But technology is a set of tools, and you want to be able to access that. It is the friend that has an enormous amount of wealth. Media. You guys also all have businesses that have media. You're going to have to decide what it is that you want that media to do for your business. It is a partnership. So when you're looking at what your media is there to do, I would look at what is the partnership that you want to share with the world. Don't put something up that you don't want to do more of. Right? So decide what is the truth that you want. And a lot of you are kind of here, right? What am I going to do with my media? And sometimes you're going to have to actually kind of ferret this out for yourself, is what is the purpose of that? So when we look at where we started was on that big, business tasks of the month, you're going to have to kind of decide in your media, what is the truth that you want to share? Is it that you're there to have interactions? Is it there that you're trying to build community, right? Are you trying to give somebody an education? Like, what is the purpose of media for you? And different platforms of media may be something different. They may be, right? So I'll give you an example from one that Janine and I are working on for somebody, right? That they have a TikTok that is, very fun and whimsy, but they have a Facebook page that is very much community, 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 community. And their TikTok identity is really them, them, them. And then we went to the Instagram and it was like, oh, wait, we have to make this look like a scroll that just says, here's the mission, right? So each of your platforms may have a different intimation of how the business will relate to its customers. So, and that is also one of the ways, as media expands, that's one of the ways we're seeing people actually expand these to individual platforms. That they're talking to their clients on Twitter, but they're using YouTube for their brand for their brand education. They're using Facebook to do community, right? They're using Instagram to showcase product. So you may be utilizing different platforms for different reasons. And so understand what your media is for. Sometimes people are using different types of media because they are going to be in print. That's not just a picture. We're just very picture focused. So as we kind of come towards the midsection of the end here, I want to kind of go back to that bossing it. And I'm going to open it up to everybody so that you can, if you want to take a picture of this while we're talking, that's great. But I do want to kind of go back to the human resource management because this is for you and about you. How are you going to be a better resource manager of you? And how do we get that on the books is really my question. So I'm going to stop the share so we all go back to each other and just go, all right, how are you bossing it, right? How are you going to plan and manage your personal resource management? Jamie, are you driving? Am I allowed to ask?
You can ask me. I'm not anymore. I'm sitting.
Okay. So on that piece, how are you gonna? You are everywhere, right? You've got multi-skills. Everything is exciting. What comes to your mind about managing you as the resource better?
Oh, I'm like kind of soaking in all of this.
Yep.
And because in just my business, I'm trying to figure out like what is that? Like what is that?
Mm-hmm.
And because I've just always done, if it makes money and I can find the money to invest in it, let's do it, and have been good at making the money. And then so now that I'm in the stuff that I love to do and doing that more, I haven't figured out like what that looks like. All I know is that they keep calling me and I keep getting business. So then it's like, okay, well, what does that look like? So I'm just really in that process. I have a successful rental business that, you know, we've had to find that process. I've had to, you know, I hired somebody, my sister, who worked at a bank, and she was the human resource person. And I was like, listen, I think you could run this company well, and I'm just going to trust and hope that you, and she came in, and it's been, you know, a great thing as we, you know, because when I was just running it, I would have piles of paper. And so the efficiency that we have now and the amount of money that we make now is almost 3 times the amount we made when I was just running it. And I thought I was doing a pretty darn good job. So with this business now, I don't know. I'm so lost still in it that I'm really just trying to pull together what that identity even looks like.
Right. So the piece that out of that last page, right, about the HR management around you, right? And that's the part that I'm pointing to each one of you, right? Danny, you know, I'm pointing right at you wherever you are in this piece, which is, right, how do we actually invest in you as the main asset, right? So what is it that we need to invest in each of you as business owners to make you the most successful that you can be? That's the point of this session, right? That's the point of hanging out together.
Right, and I think that, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, no.
Oh, I think that just now, like, you're like, you shouldn't scroll 20 times on your phone. And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? Like, and so now that I'm like, that's in my head and I'm thinking of that, and I'm like, well, where do I take that energy that I'm using to scroll or, you know, solicit and put that into something else that gets me to even figuring out what this identity is, because I'm spending time scrolling. And
scrolling. It's so
and I'm 20 plus.
Yep.
So,
and
so
there is no executive that has the benefit of looking at their phone 20 times a day. There's no billionaire that has the ability to do that.
Right. So I think that for me is like, okay, so now that's like I put that on my iPad is like recording for me too. And so like I'm going to like, as I play back, I'm going to remember to be like, that's my task to work on taking where I take this 20 scrolls a day and putting that energy into figuring out what that identity is. Because I think once I get that figured out, then the other stuff will flow, right? I'm confident enough that I'm good at what I touch. So I'm stuck on the 20 times a day.
You're good. Janine, I'm going to let you respond to that because that actually is what you just had to learn, right? Which was what do you pay attention to?
I'm confused what you're.
Well, here's the question: that you had to rewrite your whole business model.
Yeah.
And you had to kind of start somewhere. You went to a class, but again, it's the same thing that everyone else is going to be doing, right? They're going to start asking themselves questions differently. Mm-hmm. What was the process that you had to go through to be able to kind of rewire your mind?
A lot of resistance because it wasn't natural, and being uncomfortable doing the things and then doing them wrong, and knowing that I did them wrong, and then doing them right, and then doing something else wrong, and then doing a couple of the things right that I had done wrong in consecutive, and then doing it right all the way through and seeing the reward of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Dawn, I'm going to go up to you because you do a lot of process.
I feel like, Janine, gosh, if you could just say that again, you were able to that was a hard question, Mickey, and you pulled an answer out of pretty thin air, and it was this concept of process. Mickey says it a lot, and you had resistance because it didn't feel natural, and then you did things and you did it wrong, but then you tried it again and you did some things right, and then you tried again. Did I miss something?
No, I'm probably still going to do it wrong again, but that's part of the process, right?
Right.
How many
I don't know,
times
just something about that was really profound to me, and I just needed to pause and let that soak in.
Let it soak in.
I think it's easy to keep doing the same thing you're doing because you think it's the right way of doing it until you learn how to do something else as the way you actually want to be doing them. And it's not natural to do it that way until you know that you're doing it wrong. Like if I had not gone through a couple courses with this portrait photographer last year, I would have not known that I wasn't even doing it correctly to get the results. I would have only wanted the results by the same way I was doing them. And you can't get the results by doing the same thing.
Right.
I did that with shipping where, I was laying in bed in, I suppose, April last year. I was in bed a whole day crying because I had gotten an $1,800 shipping bill to ship 34 products. That was like $2,000 worth of value. I was so freaked out about how badly I was doing. And now we ship everything ourselves, and I can hand it off now too. But it was learning the process of how to make things packaged and how to do it that makes sense. And we keep adding these little things, but it is not knowing what you're doing is like, it's just this constant learning. Right. It just does, those little pieces add up if you can get through it. But I hated shipping, and now I kind of bless each thing that it's like money, it's,
right.
I have a cart I'm hauling to the post office and it's $1,400 worth of stuff, that took an hour and a half to pack. So it's
right. So good. Janet, do you still have your match bar with you?
I do. I haven't. I
So
haven't eaten it.
thank you for buying one, by the way. But so that product, right, going back to how many ways are you doing it wrong? How many ways are you doing it wrong? How many ways are you doing it wrong? And she's gonna, and we're gonna see a view of it right now.
Blueberry delicious.
Thank you.
Sorry, I can't pass them out.
Right. But again, Marge, same thing, right? How are we shipping it? What does it look like? You know, how many ways can I make a mistake? And it was simply talking to other startups that were also doing food products that were 3 years ahead of us to go, hey, what's your relationship to this? Or I'm struggling here, or, you know, are we just doing it wrong? And I think that's the other part, right? Is to go, why am I feeling like I have to solve this by myself? Right? Why wouldn't I call a shipping expert? Right? We had this whole thing with the labels, right? They gave us a program and boom, they're out. The order comes in off of the website, it automatically ships out a label. I put it on, we're done. Right? It doesn't have to be that crazy. Whereas before I would have to check the website every day, blah, blah, blah. You know, so technology can be a partner, and learning a new process will be a big deal too. And it was all of these tiny little orders like you have, Marge, right? Where we have all these tiny little orders to mail out. And somebody's got to bring those, you know, they got to get packed. They got to get checked. And when you're little, that's you. That's you. Dawn, I'm going to just go back to you for 1 second because you also do a lot of rallying people together and getting everybody on the same page. What do you have any process tools for advice for anybody?
Well, what we've done is put like our training videos for our new cast members. That's all on a back page of our Facebook. So we have, you know, our Facebook group page, and so the staff members can, you know, watch that on their own, and, you know, Ashley walks them through which ones they should watch and when. And so that helps for the learning curve for people. And then just having anybody being able to do some of the smaller things is always nice. My big thing is, and this is something that I need to figure out how to get people to engage more, because our Facebook pages, we never have anybody like it or share it or whatever. Even our staff members or cast members, you know, they feel like that's the only thing that's ever on their Facebook pages, so they don't want to just be all about the business and stuff. But, you know, I go into people's pages and do shout outs and things like that. In fact, Janine, I just did a shout out for you. I don't know if you saw it from when we were at the farm last year, I think it was, over in Cottage Grove. So I came across that picture. It showed up on my Facebook feed, and I do things like that where I'll, you know, tag somebody and do a shout out to them, just to, you know, put a shout out to them, you know. And that's something that I know I can do for other people. And we've done, you know, like reviews on different people's Facebook pages, things like that, just because we, you know, we work with a lot of different photographers and event people and things like that. So we always want them to feel the love, basically.
Right, right. So I love that piece as well. Okay.
Nikki,
Yep.
I just want to remind everybody that this is being recorded, and that the recording will be up on YouTube. The YouTube channel is Money Smarts, and you will be sent the link. It'll take a couple days because this is 2 hours long, and it takes a while for Zoom to process it, and then it takes a while to upload it to YouTube.
Right. And because and if you're fast forwarding time, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times you can just go to the middle of the thing and start right in on class, because that's really what you're going to review. And then
so there are 2 others out there, or maybe 3, 2. Yeah.
And then a lot of times I'll post an audio version for those of you who know the secret what is that called?
Link.
audio, the night ones.
Uh-huh.
What is that called? A podcast.
Podcast.
Yeah. So a lot of times I'll post our class on that podcast, so we can have a review, or for people that couldn't make it to class. They just don't get the real live stuff that we get right here.
I also just wanted to mention about the why. You know, some of us are more visually oriented. So, you know, like,
Oh yeah.
yeah. So this is a visualization of a class that I want to do. And it looks really simple because I've got it all down there. And then I look at the first part and I know I'm going to have to write about 25 different to-dos to do it. So I finally had to divide it into 3 parts. But lots of times, if you are visually oriented and you actually do get it down in a little thing, little doodle or whatever, it feels done.
Right.
But it's not.
It feels a little bit better. A lot of
Yeah.
times, if you've been in with planning sessions with me, a lot of times I'll use this very large map of, you know, kind of the house that you want to build, of kind of what are the things that you need to do. Going back to planning notes, one of the things that I use planning notes in is a longer section, so that you can kind of go through. And this is really what I like about something like this. You can kind of tuck into your bag, is that now this can be your new friend while you're doing coffee or whatever. But then you can kind of, you know, start to really flesh something out with all of the pieces in it. And what is the why? Who? What? You know, what's the outcome that you're looking for, right? So for me, a third of my time is spent educating. So this particular crisis in the world, I'm so glad that we knew how to use Zoom, because this is when I'm the happiest, right? Well, the happiest is one-on-one. I would like to lock myself in a room with each one of you, right? For hours on end. But being able to teach in another way, right, is one of the things that we all want to be able to do. What do you do and how do you do it? And so when I was kind of putting together my task list, you can put a task list that says, hey, teach more. But then you have to actually put a plan to it. Well, what do you want to teach? What do you want to teach? What are the things? Like Karen had, right? She had to kind of think about what her whole class looked like. And, you know, that when you're looking at that, a task list item will not work. And that's why having just a little secret book that only you write in, not perfect, but you should be tucking something like this in with your planning notes in there. And mine is very felty sweet. If I'm going to use Kate Miner is who gave us this one. These are the Live with Purpose planners that everyone kind of loves. But these are, you know, ways that you can start. So notice this is a 2021. This is a way to kind of put your actions together and give yourself enough free time and kind of work on it as a summer project about how are you going to plan your future and get those ideas down, and then you come back to it. But this has got a lot of different segments in it so that you can really put in, right, planning notes, things like that. This has been for her, this has been just a delight to be able to have. If I were going to, me personally, recommend something, it really would have been anywhere that you can start doing planning notes and not just task lists is probably going to be the most beneficial to you. And in those planning notes, right, I would go back to the screen that we were just on, right? How do we manage you as a resource? And how do we manage you as a resource as if you were the most important thing, right? That all of the money, all of the good, all of the things, like what could we invest to make you phenomenal, right? Because you are the gold. You're the diamond, right? You're the diamond. You're the one that delivers to everybody. You deliver to your family, you deliver to your friends, you deliver to your job, you deliver to your business, you deliver artistically, you deliver love, emotional, I mean, all of that you're delivering. Okay, well, I think I'd like to give you some help with that, right? Of, you know, how do we get that to you? Okay, so I'm going to put my screen back up again, just in case you forgot what bossing it looked like, right? How are we going to invest in you? That talent. What's a better way to do administration of you? Right? What are the business partnerships, right? Those labor relationships that we should be investing in for you. How do we get those on the books? Right? Maybe you need to meet a new printer. Maybe you need to look at an assembly company. Maybe you need to do whatever. How do we get that so that you don't have to be working as hard? And that may be career planning. That may be saying, look, I want to be able to be someone who's manufacturing it, but later I want to be someone who's owning it. For Janine, that's how Block Studios got here, right? That she wanted something that looked like it had more choices. So when you start looking at you and managing you as the human resource that makes all things possible, right? It seems silly that I would want a flower garden, but I will tell you, it brings me joy every day. I know that Donna has worked extensively on her garden as well, so she knows my love of that. And she's right. Yours is beautiful. So, you know, it isn't just that. It makes me happy, right? It's a way that I can invest in myself. And Donna, you probably like to sit on your porch for that reason.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. For so many reasons.
Yeah. So it's again, how do we invest in you being truly the diamond, right? The spiritual, the physical, the intellectual, the emotional, the social, right? That's that DNA code that we've talked about before, right? What is this? How do we invest in all of these pieces, and how you get to show up? How do you show up spiritually? How do you show up physically? How do you show up intellectually? How do you show up emotionally? How do you show up socially, right? Pretty much anyone who's going to see me in a social situation, probably, if you were going to imagine me walking into the door to see you, my guess is that 99% of the time, you would probably see me with a gigantic smile and excited to see you, right? You can, like, I'm watching you smile right now, right? I'm going to be like gooey, overjoyed because I'm so excited to see you, right? How am I going to show up? How are you showing up? Right? How are you showing up? What's the state that you're in? If you've ever met somebody who's frantic and too tired and blah, 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 you know, you just want to calm them down before you can even start negotiating love, right? So again, how are you showing up when we see you? When you look at the intellectual piece, it may be, this is a time to learn all sorts of new things. It's summer. It's summer. We are all interested in things that we didn't have enough daylight for in February. And for many of you, that's a physical piece that you now have time for walking club. You now have time to do other things. You can physically, it's so much easier to physically show up for yourself during this time. It's so much easier to physically work on your sleeping patterns. It's so much easier to physically work on, you know, taking a lunch walk, right? And that's that resource management. We've got to invest in you. And you as you, who makes this huge life happen. And there's not a single person in here that doesn't try hard to make the world amazing for other people. That you guys really all try to make the world better. And better with other people. So I'm going to open it up. One, I reminded everybody that this screen would come back, right? Tools that you can share with the group. And then I'm going to go back to just do a quick review because that was a lot of slides. And I think it's helpful to just go back to the beginning, right? Because this is where we started, right? We started right here. How do you start your day? Right? Then bossing it. We just went through that. Hope's not going to get you there. Bookkeeping, it's a big deal. But color coding tasks, looking at what categories that you're putting into your life is incredibly helpful. If you look at the color coding on this, this is why I did it in black, is so that you wouldn't try to read it, is that you would just look at what percentage of them are green, right? Those are that part, right? And we're right in the middle, Monday through Friday, right? When we look at that, how many of them have a green task? How many of them have money-related conversations? How many of them have office tasks? Much fewer than the green, right? The orange are very few. So when you start to look at color coding, that's really the purpose of it, is to give you a visual cue artistically on what section has to be worked on. It's easy to look at this and go, wow, there's not a lot of blue. And for some of you, there may need to be a whole lot more blue, which are business building tasks, right? And then the other part is that you've got to come out of just doing tasks. You're going to need planning notes. If you walk away with nothing else today, if you walk away with nothing else today, it is to expand. If you are good at a task list, then I can't wait. Like I kind of, you can just hear my voice. I'm hesitating. Like I'm so excited. I can't even get a word out of my mouth, right? I'm just so excited to see what somebody who's good at a task list would do with planning notes. I can't even imagine what will happen. And those planning notes have a lot more information in them, right? Why are you doing it? When are you doing it? How are you doing it? A lot of us get stuck on the how, right? How do I think I'm going to get that started? How am I going to work through my resistance? How am I going to find a partner? How am I going to find capital, right? Planning notes have all of those things. They're more explorative. And the planning notes for you are your magic. They are kind of like the giant reveal to having someone help you, because you've already thought about all of the pieces to go, hey, here's what I have to do next. Here's the what, where, when, why, how, and who. And now they can fully understand the scope. And that's what that really does. That planning notes gives scope, and it gives directive, and it allows people to know where they fit into the task, especially when you're running on lots of teams. The question, right? Opening your mind. Right? And once you open your mind, it will automatically, you don't have to do a single thing. It will automatically open up your mind to opportunities it didn't see before, because you're asking a different question. And the question you're asking is why? Why am I doing that? Why not? Right? One of the, I had somebody that just recently made the most money that she's ever made. And she's somebody that's also come into class, so some of you will know her. But she texted me and I said, oh my gosh, where am I in the text list of, first I got this text that said, you know, holy crap. And then a picture of what her sales were for the last 30 days. And then I texted back, well, what order am I? Like, am I in the top 10? Like, what order? She's like, I told my kid and then I texted you, right? Yay, right? Yay. It's so fun to share, right? But when I asked her, what changed? You've been fighting for this moment to be able to make that income. You've been fighting with this moment for more than 10 years. And that her answer to me was, I actually asked why. Why wouldn't that come through? Why wouldn't that sale be coming through? She started to ask why. And that's a big conversation. And that's where hack questions come in. Hacking questions are around looking at the asset of time. Is there a more efficient way to do this? Is there a faster way to get to my message across? Is there another tool, right? We'll use Dawn's piece of that secret Facebook page, kind of in love with that as a tool for you guys, right? Is having a private Facebook page means that you can record content and have it available for people over and over again. They can scroll through all of the things that you've done. You can put videos there that aren't available for the mass public, but are available just for your customers. That Facebook page is kind of great.
Nikki,
yeah.
I just had a thought as you were talking here. I received a message from a client that just got their order of the beautiful album that they had of their maternity session, and their wedding client. So they're getting married and they wanted a maternity session for right now. And then, anyways, so they got their order and they sent me a text saying, "We are so in love with our album, holy cow." And generally how I would respond is, "I'm so glad that you love it," or "I'm thrilled you love it," something like that. But that question of why, of like, what is my focus? My focus is on why they got that album in the first place. And they didn't know they were getting an album when they reached out to me. They just wanted digital files, and they wanted all of the digital files. And I, through talking to them and creating this portrait session for them and what's important to them, my response to them how much they love their album, instead of just saying, "I'm thrilled you love it," I wrote, "I'm thrilled you love it. It's such a beautiful token for your little family to memorialize this pregnancy and this fleeting experience, more so than just the album and that good. It's more about the experience that you are in this pregnancy, and that it's such a short time, and that your family's changing and morphing." And I was just even everything I do in my business, keeping it about that why, like the question about the why, and not just the transactional part of it, but the bigger.
Right. Right. And that also brings it back to what you want for them is, right, what is your wish, right? How do you emotionally and intellectually and socially want to show up in your role, right, with your values? And saying, look, I want to congratulate you on your win, right? Because that was their win. They made that choice. I mean, you did the content and all of the other pieces of it, but they actually are the ones that had to do the work and move forward. Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Very good. It's fun to watch your life work, isn't it? Okay. So I'm going to go back to the share screen, right? You don't have to go back to the old way. That's the piece that I just want you to go. I don't have to go back to the old way. I don't have to go back to the old way of wondering if it's right. I can learn new things. Right? That there's more for you here than just one way. Big planning. If you haven't done a 3-hour session before, they're magical. This is about a 3-hour process for most people, is to kind of plan out what is the larger strategy. So if you're doing it with yourself, or if you're going to have a friend or whatever, it's about 3 hours of work. So I would just kind of give yourself an afternoon and really look at all the different parts of your business. Intellectual capital, I would start getting around to all of those friends that somebody in your friend group has an idea that's worth 10 grand to you. And it's really just looking at, you know, who would have something like that for me? Who has an idea that would help me in that way? one of the reasons why I attach that 10,000 times on there is we think about one good idea as being at this tiny piece of traction. It's often, it's kind of like standing on a pile of rubies and diamonds and looking for a quarter to use the phone, right? That you're standing on this stack of people who are amazing and have all of this information, and we're just looking for a quarter to use their phone. So that's part of why I kind of challenge you on that 10,000. Technology, again, if you're a scroll addict, we've got to use that piece more efficiently for you. And the technology, I'm going to use Marge's example as a really powerful tool, is that as you use technology more appropriately, it makes you more excited. You'll enjoy what's there. All of you have media that you're going to be working through. Figure out what is the truth that you have in that media, where you want to portray it, what those other platforms are, and they may have different purposes. The other thing that Janine did, and I'll go back to that because I just happened to work on something with her the other day, is that she really thought of it visually because she's a photographer. And how do we visually storytell in some of these other places? And it made it so much easier to put things together to be able to understand what is the purpose, right? What's the outcome that you want out of that media? And anyway, so I think that's very helpful. You guys are your own boss. Everyone here is. That's the other piece of just, again, if you want to take a picture of this screen, I would. It's so helpful to just go, what do I need? Sometimes many of you need administration, that you need a calendar, right? That's administration. How do we manage your tasks? What is your task? What is someone else? Right? How are you using your time? What does that look like? So really looking at the administration of you. How do we manage your talent? I will tell you that there are a lot of reasons to never send me to the copy machine, right? There's a lot of reasons to never give me a 3-hole punch and expect a positive outcome, right? That's not a great use of my talent. But there are many people who can be trusted with scissors that aren't me. So, okay, I'm going to stop share. I'm going to pull us back together again. I'm seeing that you guys are putting in the tools on the side. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Mickey, I just wanted to say that right now the technology part is really big. And so many people are now accepting it. I was just thinking about dragging you kicking and screaming into teaching a class on Zoom 2 years ago.
Boy, am I guilty.
He said, I will never do this, never do this. And
yeah.
And so I just want to encourage everybody, if you haven't done that, I mean, even talking to clients on Zoom, it's free up to a certain point. And also anything that you do to document what you're thinking. I mean, you don't have to be an artist to make things work that way, you know, just getting it down. You can write it later. Good doodling is good, but just getting it down, because you'll forget it. It says, well, maybe you're not old, but you know, if you get a lot of ideas, you're bound to forget 1 or 2 of them and wonder what it was. So if you do have a little notebook with you, you can jot it down. It doesn't have to be a long list. It can just be, remember this. And also I put a click through to all 3 of your classes on the side there.
Oh, the stock classes. So those are limited. There's only 20 people in that class. For those of you who are looking at intro to stock purchasing, for those of you who are going to build your own stock portfolios, I've already done those for other classes. I usually do it for little investment clubs and stuff like that. So, but I just haven't ever opened it up to everyone. So they're 3 sessions, they're 1 hour each, they're fast. They're a little more expensive than just $10, but they're they're just going to help you kind of get into stock buying. For a chaotic market, a chaotic world that we're coming forward in, that's going to be a really critical tool for everyone, is to not just park your money in one spot and hope it works, that you're going to have to interface with your wealth in the next year. We are going to be moving into, we are in a recession right now. We do have 40 million people that are unemployed in the United States right now. We have 100,000 businesses that have closed their doors in the last 30 days. We believe that there will be 200,000 more that will close their businesses in the next 1 year. So we will be moving into some economic times. Right now, you're seeing an artificial holding because of the government has opened its coffers, right? So we know lots of people who are unemployment. We have lots of things that are there. Those safety pieces are going to start whittling down rapidly at the end of this month. So you will start to see people. Minnesota has a beautiful amount of tools available to its people around healthcare, around social services, and around unemployment. That is not true for Mississippi, right? So Mississippi, you're going to get $22 of food stamps in your coffer. Here you would get 150, right? So there's a very big difference across the nation as to what wealth would look like, or what those services that are available will be like. So when we talk about a depression, I've put those definitions up on my website. I mean, on my Facebook, on my business Facebook. But again, a depression is when the GDP goes down, and that you have that business stops producing, and what that means is that we stop selling, and we're starting to see that GDP pull back, right? We're starting to see other countries say, you can't travel here, we're not going to buy from you, right? We're starting to see that. So when you ask, is there a global depression coming forward? The chances of that are extremely high. Now, how long does that last? Sometimes that lasts 12 months, sometimes it's 46. So the chances of it lasting more than 12 months are going to be high. So when we look at what is the outlook going forward, if you have income that comes in regularly, enjoy it. If you have the ability to make your income be positive, do it. If you have the ability to stockpile money, do it. And if you have the ability to invest time into your business to make it stronger, to build it so that it can stay around, you'll want to do that. Because this is the time to build strength, because it will give you opportunity. It is also, because there are so many failing places, this is also the best time to start a business. It is the best time to start a business because everyone wants out of their lease. Everyone wants, they will work for less just so that they can do. It is also a wonderful time to rebuild. So when people look at recession or depression, yes, there are many things that are very difficult about that. And they are 100% solved. So a recession or a depression, either one, will not be solved by an action that you and I have to take. They're going to be focused on 4 items only. So when you look at how do you build out of either one of those, we saw it first, right? There's only 4 opportunities, right? They're gonna print more money. They're gonna put in austerity, right? Tough decisions around who's gonna get money and who's not, right? So they're gonna spend less. Then they're gonna rearrange how they're using resources. And then the other is redo their debt relationships. And so those are the same things for you too, right? In your own life. But for the country and for our relationships, those are the 4 ways they're solved. So it's not you and I doing something different. It is your government and the people that you elect into those positions making those decisions for our entire nation and for our trade. So it is coming. That doesn't necessarily mean it has to impact you to a point where it's completely shattering, but things will get tight. And that part you may have already noticed. So there's no running away from how are we going to get 40 million people employed? Right? And how are we going to get 40 million people employed when the amount of businesses that are going to be viable and stay open are going to get smaller and smaller each month? And the longer that COVID is here, the longer you will see restaurant after restaurant after restaurant no longer be able to be viable because they can't, because the business plan doesn't work. I mean, restaurants are tough to build anyway, but you see all these other service industries, right? The massage therapist, the nail tech, the hairdresser, right? There's lots of different fallout that you'll see. And there's also lots of invention. And so coming out of a recession or a global depression, 100% of the time, there are only two things that will pull you out, right? So they're going to look at those 4 categories, but the 2 things that are going to be there, right? One is efficiency and inventiveness. So when I look at what can you focus in on, the more efficient you can be and the more inventive you can be will decide in your business, in your life, in your country, how will things get done differently? And that's where that why question from today comes in. So, you know, why would we do it that way? Why do we have to spend that? Why can't we fix it in this other way? And that is where we have gotten all of our great programs that are actually protecting people right now, right? During a global depression that we had before, this is where Social Security came from. This is where Medicare came from. This is where work programs came from. This is where internships come from. So many of the things that we have built that make the world interesting and functional were built out of times that were difficult. So I don't want you to fear what's coming, but I do want you to pay attention because this is a great time to be more inventive, and you'll need to. And you'll need to, because a lot of your friends will not be able to make it through this time. Kindly. Because once the payments run out of Social Security, of these other social platforms, once they run out of money, then we start to get to real tough questions. And so again, lots of things are going. People who have access to money are refinancing their houses like crazy, right? So they're renegotiating their debt. If you have debt, renegotiate it. It's a great time. If you have a job, enjoy it. Love the fact that you have one, because 40 million people don't, right? If you want to get to a higher position, they're going to love having you. I am seeing people get jobs. I am seeing people move forward. So do want to let you know, change is coming. You're in the middle of it. All right, do you have any other questions for me before I say goodbye? Okay. I'm with you. Thank you so much. All right. Bye.
Thank you, Mickey. Bye, everyone.
Happy summer.
Happy summer.